Thank you again to Kirsty, Mike, Robert, and Briggs for a great conversation. Really glad that we can dig down into really kind of the full spectrum of what we're trying to do in energy communities and through these tax credits. So next, I would like to close out the day with a couple other speakers. I'm going to hand it over to Jack Groarke to say a few words. He's a senior policy advisor to the National Economic Council. I think the senior advisor to the economy, to the President of the United States in the National Economic Council. And Jack has an extensive background in infrastructure implementation and is very familiar with coal and energy communities. So Jack, take it away.
Hey everybody, well thank you for having me here today. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to many of you and learn about the work you guys are doing here. Also just wanted to thank Brian and Briggs and their team for putting on a great event. So everybody, let's please give them a round of applause. And I just want to echo a lot of what you heard today and really double down that this is really a historic time for federal funding opportunities. There's just a record number of programs out there. You learned about a lot of them today, but there's many more. I think we are really trying to make these programs accessible to everyone and increase our efforts on technical assistance. So we hope those efforts are paying dividends, and if they're not, we want to hear from you and learn more about things we can do to make them easier to access. I just want to echo that the Biden-Harris administration really wants to make sure that these investments are touching all communities. We all have seen the outcomes of policies in the past that led to regional inequality. Towns have lost anchor employers, businesses have chased low wages, and we have lost manufacturing jobs across the country. When President Biden came to office, he had a different approach. President Biden has been committed to growing the economy from the bottom up. This means investing in communities that were left behind in the past. When communities across the country thrive, so does our overall economy. We want to continue the work that began here today and take a whole of government approach to working with communities and making sure that they can access these funding opportunities. When these programs work well, they pull together support for workers, small businesses, and help create new industries that will help communities across the country. So that we see that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and we can have an economic comeback across the country. Thanks again for having me, and I want to make sure that these conversations that we started today continue, and looking forward to working with all of you and keeping the conversation going. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Jack, thank you very much. Now, I will say this is billed as a regional event, and I know we have representatives met with folks from Wyoming, from Arizona. I think I saw some folks from New Mexico here as well. But I have to thank our partners here in the state of Colorado for both hosting us and being a great partner, not only leading up to this event, but for supporting energy communities here in the state of Colorado, and have really contributed to making this event such a success. Jeff Kraft is the Deputy Director of the Colorado Department of Economic Development and International Trade, and leads business funding and incentives for the department, including access to capital programs. And so I would like to invite Jeff Kraft to the stage for a few comments.
Thanks, Brian, and it's great to see all of you here today. A really important issue that we're thinking about working on and how to solve. And we really do look forward to continuing to work with IWG, the Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains. We're all really learning a lot today about the possibilities for leveraging the 48C tax credits to support job growth, to support investments, and facilitate that really critical transition to renewable energy. But of course, we don't want to leave our communities behind. On behalf of Governor Polis and my colleagues at the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade, which is referred to as OEDIT, and other agencies of the state of Colorado, I'm really delighted to be with you here today. Thank you for coming to Colorado, meeting with people from across the state, and as Brian just alluded to earlier, across the region, a multi-state region. So thank you all for being here. We really do share a common goal. I'd just like to briefly recognize some of my colleagues that are here or registered from state government. Not everybody may be in the room, but I will go through their names if you haven't met them yet, and if they're able to stand and just do a quick wave as I mention them. But from my office, the Office of Economic Development, we have Morgan Van Cat and Greg Tomlinson. Thank you guys for being here. From the Colorado Department of Labor and Unemployment, the Office of Just Transition, we have Wade Buchanan, Christy McPherson, Jennifer Peroni, and Terry Livermore. Really leading the charge in Colorado to focus on just transition of energy dependent communities. From the Colorado Energy Office, we have Quinn Antis, Elizabeth Lee, and Will Mans, and the Department of Local Affairs, Julia Masters. And then I believe Aaron Ray from the Colorado Department of Natural Resources is also participating. So you've heard today a lot about 48C and its aim to spur and support clean energy technology, manufacturing, and deployment across the country. From a broader state perspective, we're proud of Colorado's leadership in supporting renewable energy, including citizen passed ballot initiatives. We have a major milestone coming up here in a few decades where we aim to be 100% renewable energy in 2050 for those utilities that serve 500,000 or more customers. Colorado has many existing renewable energy related companies, from Vestas to CS Wind. We have large manufacturers that are going to use renewable energy like Evraz. And of course, we have our many public, private, and cooperative utilities that are working to buy more renewable energy. And then we also have startups that are leading the way in innovation in this sector, some of whom have grown or are growing into publicly traded companies. And I'm thinking of companies from, sort of 10 years ago that were in that startup stage, but have grown substantially, like Solid Power and Credo Battery. And then we have our other companies that want to adopt renewable energy technologies in their processes. We at OEDIT have supported many of these companies with incentives and capital injections, and we really do look forward to continuing that support and trying to layer it on top of federal incentives. So here at OEDIT, we're an economic development agency, but we have a pretty broad remit. We are committed to upskilling Colorado's workforce, diversifying our economy, and including geographically vulnerable pockets like energy dependent communities, and expanding our transition towards renewable energy. 48C and other federal funding incentives will play an integral role in achieving these goals. Our approach generally in Colorado is an emphasis on statewide and public-private partnership efforts to support economic development across entrepreneurs and small businesses. We want to retain and expand jobs through responsive programs and create a supportive business climate. And we really do have a critical and unwavering commitment to our rural and energy-dependent communities. At OEDIT and in the state government as a whole in Colorado, we have to forecast and plan for critical metrics that are of high importance. And in our office, one of our key priorities and metrics for 2024 is to support our rural communities by helping to create 3,000 jobs in rural Colorado. And we use programs like Rural Jumpstart and our enterprise zone programs on that. And as Kirsty mentioned earlier in the panel, OEDIT has been really proud to partner with the Colorado Office of Just Transition to make a new phase of grants available using state funds for Tier 1 and Tier 2 just transition communities. I think you've heard some of these communities mentioned here today, but that includes places like Pueblo, the West End, which includes parts of Montrose and San Miguel counties, the Yampa Valley, that includes Routt and Moffat County, and Morgan County on the Eastern Plains. These are critical areas of focus to support their economic and workforce development and promote economic diversification as their economies sort of plan for and execute a transition away from coal. So I just wanted to thank you all for being here today. We look forward to continuing the conversation and hope that Colorado-based entities can benefit from these powerful tax credits. And we'll be here on hand during the office hours to talk further. Thank you very much.
Jeff, thank you very much, and to the entire OEDIT office, really the entire state government of Colorado, to your congressional representatives and in both the Senate and the House. And really, when we think about why we're here, it's about people. It's about people who have relied on an energy source for decades to have thriving communities. And so when we go back to that focus, I'm really glad that not only we have a great federal presence here, we have a great state presence, but we have counties and we have towns, we have townships here in the room, because all we're trying to do is make sure that we're not leaving people behind. I know we talk about energy communities, we talk about not leaving communities behind, but a community is nothing but a bunch of buildings and some infrastructure if it doesn't have the workers, the community members, and that's why we're here. So I'm really excited that we've had this opportunity so far to engage. And I just want to say our work's not done. Our work's not done today in this room. We have office hours, as alluded to, next door. We have some federal and state and IWG tables, so you can have some direct engagement. I know out of the Department of Energy, we have the IWG, the MESC office, State Community Energy Programs Office, SCEP, and I think some state tables as well. But our work's not done in the big picture either. We are tackling the climate challenge, and we're tackling it through investments in the clean energy sector, and we're doing it in a way that we want to invest in communities not leaving behind. I can't say that enough, and I probably said it too much today, but our work will continue as long as we are transitioning. And when we think about that timeline, the state of Colorado has looked at going net carbon zero by 2050. So we're going to be around for the next, 26 years as part of this transition, making sure that communities have the resources they need through this transition and that we're making those right investments. And so thanks for being a part of this journey. We're only at the beginning of it in many cases. So please stick around with us as both today and in the long run. So thank you for your attendance, and I look forward to seeing you in the office hours over the next hour or so. So thank you all very much.